Hey there, everybody. It's Prov. How are you doing? Today is my first Monday live in a really long time. I stopped for a little while, personal reasons. And then my daughter came to visit me for 2 months here in Florida. And she was protecting me and loving me, and we had such a great time together. It was phenomenal. And I kept my finger on the pulse of what's happening here in the world, in politics, with COVID, of course. And I just wanted to talk about how COVID's over. Aren't you all so happy that we can go into any store we want without a mask? There are no variants to chase and knock down, or don't need any boosters. Life is just like what it was 18 months ago. If only that were true. It gets a little bit difficult, doesn't it, to figure out how to act. Now, I understand that we can live in a bubble. And the bubble here in Florida is that people are acting, or a lot of people believe everything is done. There are no mask requirements. There's nothing, COVID's not here. Only the Delta variant and the unvaccinated are getting it. And there's just so much going on here in Florida, while they are now having the most deaths per day that they've ever had. Now, I'll say I haven't kept up with what's going on in New York, because I've been teaching a new class, and I've been focusing on that. And between the governor and the new governor, I haven't really been focusing on what's going on with COVID in New York, because 71% of New York is vaccinated. But we are still in New York being pummeled by COVID. So what we are living in now, I will kindly call the in-between. And the in-between is going to last a long time. We had the influenza pandemic in 1918. The flu became part of our lives. And we got used to losing 30,000 or more people a year to it. With COVID, we have lost a total in America of 630,000 people. It's hard for me to understand how in our lifetime, just like how in the lifetimes of people in 1918, who probably thought they would never get over it and the world would not see it as a blip in history. So we need to accept that this isn't a blip for us. This is our life. And for a while, we're going to need to live in this kind of half COVID-y, half not COVID-y world. New variants will pop up as long as there are human beings on the planet, and especially if there are those who won't get the vaccine. So how do we, as individuals and as family groups and people in states and countries, the world, handle the ongoing pandemic, along with the disparity of it, what's going on around the world? Those are huge questions, yeah? That's life. That's for philosophers, that's for scientists, that's for people bigger and better than me, maybe bigger and better than you. Doesn't stop the fact that we have to do it, right? So I'm just going to explain, because this is my first live in a long time. I'm going to explain to you what my new class was. I did it last week. It was Monday through Thursday. It was your post-COVID life, how to re-enter positively, how to have a positive re-entry into life. And, you know, it's not that we hated our life pre-COVID. And it's not that we're coming out guns a-blazing during this time. But I think everybody has learned something or many things that have changed their lives in the past year and a half that they don't necessarily want to get rid of. I would like to think that going forward, when I'm in the city, New York City, I will wear a mask when I go on the subways. I don't usually catch the flu, but when I do, it wrecks me for weeks. But I learned that wearing a mask can save your life. And as I get older, I think that's going to be important. But that's going forward. What have you had in your pre-COVID life that you loved? I mean, dinners every Friday night with people you love, going to the movies, going to the dog park, all of that, going out to a bar for drinks. I don't know, maybe going to the US Open. I loved a lot of my pre-COVID life. And then I made a drastic change during COVID. You know, after having had it for 3 months and then 5 months of lockdown, I came out here for a while to Florida, where I knew it was bad and I knew it was going to get worse, but I knew I had space. And if I kept to the rules of the scientists and kept to myself and did that, I would be okay. So, you know, I didn't have to see people. I could have my food delivered. I could still go outside and get exercise. I could go swimming. I could go to the pool. I could go into the Gulf. And I worked during this past year on how to be the healthiest me I could be physically. And I'd say the benefit to that is really, excuse me, itch. When I went back to New York and got my full physical, the doctor said, "Oh, you've got the heart of a 16-year-old." Well, that's awesome, right? That's like 30 years younger than I really am. And then I worked on things like my emotional life, my interpersonal relationships. And while COVID was keeping me from everybody I loved, it became more important for me to reach out and contact the people that I care about. So I found that. With my mindset being sense of self, pride, not bad pride, good pride, ego, not bad ego, good ego, self-confidence. I did a lot of work on that as well. And then because, so anyway, I'll talk about that in a sec. But so I'd worked on all these wonderful things. Now, if I just go back to my pre-COVID life and don't keep these new things with me, then the whole past year and a half has been a waste. And it's not a tribute to the people who died or the friends I lost at all. But it's also not something I want to do. I want to keep what I've learned and keep what I had and merge them together. So now, before I go on to tell you about my class, which I'm so excited about, you know, you can go into Facebook and go to my page and you'll see that I did one class a day. I said it was going to be 15 minutes a day. It started out that way, and then I think the last class was 51 minutes. So it's too much to talk about. But during that class, I really enjoyed it. I really loved doing it. And I've lost my train of thought. Okay, let me think. Anyway, I loved putting together the class. It was good. Oh, okay, so I had worked on all of this stuff and I felt so good. I mean, I had tragic times. I lost people. I broke up with someone I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. I got closer to my kid. All this wonderful things happened too, right? The health, the kid, all of that. So I was feeling pretty good. So life decided to throw a curveball at me. I had to deal with somebody who did some illegal stuff to me. Just not good stuff. Nothing physical. I mean, not. I was not beat up. Let's just say I was not hurt physically, but it put such a damper on my mindset, and it bruised me so much, and it hurt so much to be living in a paradise much of the time. New York's a paradise in its own way. That I stopped everything completely. I stopped teaching classes. I was teaching this 21 days and 21 ways to boost your immunity easily class. I stopped writing. I even stopped going out to the pool unless there was nobody there. I really became a hermit again. And the mind torture of that was almost worse than COVID. At least with COVID, I had a community. We were all in this together. We were going to move forward together. In this, I was all alone. So that was the universe, laughing at me. You think you've got this right? Let me show you. You don't know anything. And I had to start all over again. I had to start over with one thing a day and reintegrate it into my life, see how I felt doing it, and getting stronger to integrate something else back into my life. So that's where this class came, because I don't know how many of us are torn between like, God, this thing is such a, COVID, it's awful, it's terrible, I have to get out of it and get back to normal. Oh wait, there is no normal, what's my new normal? I mean, bullshit. What we have to do is not a little soundbite from television. What we have to do is take what we had from the past, take what we've gotten the past year and a half, and integrate it into ourselves so that we can move forward. And so that if there's another variant, if there's a different pandemic, if there's another person in our lives who hurts us, that we are more able to maintain the person we were meant to be, our higher self, the self with purpose on this planet. So now I'll talk about the class. Yeah, I think I mentioned the name of it. The post-COVID world, re-entering in a positive way. It's not exactly the name, but the first thing we do is we go over the class, the entire thing, what we're going to learn, what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about. And it's 5 sessions. We talk about friends, the kinds of friendships we have in our lives, how to know which friendships belong in those categories, how to choose the ones we want to deepen, and see if there are any that we really need to let go of. But this is not a class about letting go. It's a class about deepening the friendships that we want. And we'll talk about family. What does our family really want from us? How do we, yes, get a deeper connection? How do we have more love? How do we have more joy in our family lives? It's pretty interesting stuff, actually, because it's so easy, and yet, it takes commitment and diligence, but it's fairly easy to do. Then we go into our careers. What are careers? Our pursuits. Are you a philanthropist? Good for you. That's a pursuit. Hobbies, pursuits, careers. What do you want to keep from your previous career? What do you like that's changed about it? Or do you want to start something new? Do you choose to pursue money, or do you choose to pursue your passion? Do you choose your parachute and jump? Whoosh. And we talk about you. And, of everything that I've learned about self-care, which could take a year-long class, an hour a day at least, and then the practice of it, these two things that I show you in the class are ways to really connect to yourself and create the time that you need to do it, and the time that you need to grow the other parts of your life. I'm very excited about it. It's an entry-level course. It's 5 classes. Sure, there's ways to go into it deeper, but if you want to, how do you know you want to go into something deeper if you don't know what basics are? So this is Prov, who misses New York, but will be back shortly, and is right now in the in-between of life and doing a darn good job of it. I started ending all of my lives. Last week I began them all with the beach, but then I realized, who wants to look at the beach while they're waiting for something? Maybe you'd prefer to look at the beach afterwards, after we've discussed and we've talked about this stuff, and then you can kind of meditate on it while you're looking at the beach. So I'm just going to take a second to prepare that. It's really not that difficult to do. You just have to pick this up, put it there, and then turn the camera around. Do me a favor. While you're enjoying the water and the view and looking at the birds, think about what we just talked about. Think about what areas of your life are most important, and how you're going to bring the past year and a half into focus to move forward. And if I'm correct, Zoom does not play the sound of the ocean very well. So I'm sorry for that. Just lower your volumes and I'll give you a minute. See you next Monday, 12:30. This is a regular thing again. Take care.